Welcome to my humble abode. I'm Yoki the Tale Spinner, and this Tales Over Coffee, the channel where we start the day with a narrative tale and a cup of coffee in the hope of welcoming a blessed day. We return now to the life and suffering of Sir Brante in the times of the fall of the blessed Arcanian Empire. Sir Yoki Brante. Me, if I was Sir Brante. Let's go. Childhood lessons. We're in the last year of our childhood, I believe. And going into adolescence. Illustrious guest. Some days grandfather stays home, and on those days you try your best to stay out of his sight. But there is no way he killed me. There is no way you can avoid... quite literally, you can have multiple deaths in this game. There is no way you can avoid family breakfast. The food is there, but you cannot bring yourself to eat it. Mother's eyes are red and swollen. She has been crying all night. Grandfather sits at the head of the table where nobody used to sit. Yes, authoritarianism. It's a concept I'm learning about, and given the approach of the twins, the gods, to me, I know it's not their true way. It's a way that's been distorted by people and the rulers of the empire. There go Brante. Robert, it is high time your youngest sons underwent their sacrament, says grandfather. Sir Brante, please let them live free for a little of the lot for a while longer. They are but... begins mother. Shut your mouth, interrupts grandfather. Robert, that wife of yours is impertinent enough to interrupt me. If this ever happens again, she'll be eating her gruel with the servants in the kitchen where she belongs. It's time you consider a real marriage, Robert. One to a woman of the proper station. Gloria drops a fork. Grandfather shoots a scathing look. A tear rolls down mother's cheek. Father does not look away from his plate, his hands clenched into fists. Baroness L. Lodar is one such woman. She is a comely widow and a fine match. She is suing for her inheritance right now, and could use proper support and a husband. You can keep your low-born Lydia around if you like, servant and mistress, I don't care. I will not do that, father, says Robert, my father. I am the head of this family, and the family's standing took a severe blow after you married that commoner, says grandfather. It is unthinkable. How could you give up the memory of beautiful Amelia Elborn for this lowly woman and that bastard child of hers? But now you have a chance to set things straight. Don't disappoint me. Father nods curtly, trying not to look in mother's direction. Father, I wish to see Stefan, he says. If I find your conduct in the Baroness's presence satisfactory enough, then you may see him, says grandfather. She is coming for a visit tomorrow. Be prepared. This is above my head as a 8 or 9-year-old, but I cannot help but think that he's talking about getting rid of mother, and that's disgusting. Grandfather wipes his mouth on his napkin, throws it into the fire. Let me restart that sentence. Grandfather wipes his mouth with his napkin, throws it into his plate, and leaves. Mother's lips move silently. Nobody says a word. Then father stands up and orders me and the other children back to our rooms. He needs to speak to mother in private. Father comes to my room before bedtime. He sits on the edge of the bed and adjusts a crease on a woolen blanket, nervous of what is going to happen. He distances himself from me after Stefan's departure, so I am not used to such attention from him. In the candlelight, I can see his face in the dark. There is a sour expression on it. My son, Baroness Emma L. Lodar, will be visiting us tomorrow, he says. Please be polite and treat her with respect. Nathan will do as you do. I want this dinner to be as immaculate as possible. Don't let me down. On the next day, Mother starts dressing me and Nathan for the coming dinner. I see red all around her eyes. She has been crying, and for a long time. It hurts just to look at her. Nathan starts whining quietly. I and Nathan are dressed in new doublets. our tousled hair brushed into shape. Gloria is told to stay in her room. Father appears wearing his best suit. Mother is in a humble brown dress, looking pale. Grandfather has no uncharacteristically contented look about him. If grandfather is happy, I know this is bad. Grandfather himself is bad. I hear the sound of wheels and hooves against the cobbles in the yard, then a pair of dainty heels come clacking. The antechamber is quiet, completely quiet and still, fearing grandfather's observant eye. The door opens. I see our guest, a beautiful, dark-haired woman in a dress of elegant deep blue. Father takes the hand of Lady Elodard and kisses it, showering her in compliments. Grandfather's face is beaming in her presence. No one ever bothers to introduce Mother. Father, why are you not paying attention to Mother? Baroness, allow me to introduce you to Robert's sons, Yorkie and Nathan Brante, says Grandfather. Frankly, it's his eldest, Stefan, who deserves the most attention, but currently he is studying in Eterna with other young noblemen like himself. It is my hope that his younger sons will also make me proud one day. Grandfather eyes me with a probing look. How will I act in front of the Baroness? Will I accept her here next to my mother, my father's rightful wife? This is wrong. This is disgusting. This is disgraceful. I could greet her politely and do this for ease, but approach Baroness Loda and kiss her hand. I could walk away with Mother, take Mother's arm and leave the hall beside her. I could maintain my composure, greet Eloda with restraint and avoid getting too involved. Demand that Mother be introduced. Mother should be introduced. Mother should be introduced. I follow Father's example and kiss Baroness's fingers gently. Her laughter fills the antechamber, ringing like chimes. Behind my back, I can hear Mother sobbing. Grandfather nods to me in approval. Out of the corner of my eye, I see Mother walking quietly upstairs. No, this is wrong. This cannot be. I walk up to Father, look him in the eye, and ask him in a voice loud enough to be heard by everyone, why didn't he introduce Mother to the guest? She is his legal wife, and my mother, is she not? In this silence, Mother stops on the stairs and turns her head in surprise. Father is confused. Nathan starts whining again. Grandfather grinds his teeth, his hand quickly gripping the heavy walking stick. I keep Father transfixed by my gaze. After a few moments that feel like an eternity, he winks at me, almost imperceptibly, then adjusts his doublet and turns to our noble guest. Baroness, allow me to introduce Lydia Brante, my wife, he says, and mother to my younger children. Lydia, would you be so kind as to join us for dinner? What are you saying, Robert? asked Gregor, my grandfather. Father, it would be a disgrace to hold a family dinner without the lady of the house. Father marches up the stairs and offers his hand to Mother. She accepts it and walks down with a shy smile on her face for the first time in those many days. The Baroness presses her lips in contempt at the sight. Then she is no good either. After a long moment, Grandfather finally breaks the uneasy silence and leads everyone into the dining room. Mother sits at the furthest corner of the table, claiming that she needs to watch over Nathan. There is barely any small talk over dinner, apart from the Baroness and Grandfather discussing her widowhood and inheritance litigation. Father and Mother do not say a word. Throughout the meal, yet they no longer look as tense as the day before. There is not even a mention of any potential marriage. As soon as the door closes behind the Baroness, I flee to my bedroom and lock the door. Grandfather's heavy footsteps can already be heard in the hallway. He's a force of anger, eager to get his hands on me. Whelp, he screams. You had the nerve to interfere in the adults' affairs. You ruined the dinner with the Baroness. You opened the door this instant and face the punishment you deserve. Then suddenly his voice dies down. I hear Father speaking quietly. We both realize there can be no other marriage, Father, says my father. I already have a wife, and there is nothing to be done about it. I'm sorry, Father, but you will have to accept it. And please leave my son alone. He only helped me face the truth and nothing else. Grandfather huffs and puffs as a loss for words. I hear the head of Brante family and his adult son retreat from the door of my room. It seems there will be no punishment today after all. Grandfather leaves to return alone. About a fortnight later, Father receives a letter from Stefan. It seems Grandfather told him about the incident with the Baroness, and so the letter is full of ire. He writes that I have reminded high society about Father's marriage to a low-born woman, and now the family's reputation is at stake. Gregor shows distaste of me. Father winces when he reads Stefan's letter, deep in thought. But Mother is smiling again because of Father's action. Her joy, a quiet, happy glow. Unity has gone up. The 7 to peace. Reputation has dropped. Tarnished honour. It was already there, but yeah, it's dropped even further. $11.25. The kaleidoscope. Father now checks on my studies often and nitpicks me for sitting or eating or speaking in an incorrect fashion. Once he becomes so annoyed that he says that he wishes Stefan had been the one to stay home instead of me. I never expected to hear these words from my father, of all people. Grandfather's trip to the capital took longer than expected. It feels lighter around the house without his presence. I allow myself a little change of scenery. Instead of my room, I now busy myself with reading and calculations in a sitting room across from the open door to the yard. Gloria has joined me today. She has already helped me progress through several complex passages in the book. Right now, she seems preoccupied with the strange tube. Aren't you hurt by the way Grandfather treats you, I ask? Gloria just shrugs. Grandfather always says they should get rid of me, she says. I'm used to it now. He hurts you a lot worse because you're closer to him. I just have to stay out of his way, that's it. She shows the strange tube she's been holding all day. Look, it's a kaleidoscope. I got it as a gift. Want to see inside? Excited by the idea, I close the book and peer into the tiny hole on one side of the tube. One end of the tube. My eye sees a multitude of intricate patterns. Each turn of the tube reveals a new web of interwoven colours. They mesmerize me. The kaleidoscope turns the fire blue in the fireplace. Huh? This is the problem with reading when you've just woken up. The kaleidoscope turns the fire burning in the fireplace into a cavalry made of flames. I am riding at the front of the fiery horsemen, ready to face the enemy. Grandfather's face emerges from the intersecting lines, and I swing the kaleidoscope like a sword, cutting it in half. Now I look at the blue sky through the window. The patterns are unending, secretive and calm and peaceful, just like Father's smile before Grandfather's invasion. The deep blue gives way to a scattering of gold radiating the gentle warmth like Mother's arms. The fleeting beauty, too, soon gives way to a hypnotic new pattern. Again and again I see my family in these interconnecting figures as they come together and break apart. And in the middle of this golden glow, I see Gloria's green eyes gazing at me observantly. My sister left me long ago. The books are abandoned and time slips away unchecked. But I am still busy peering into the kaleidoscope. Order emerges from the chaos before my eyes again and again, but I cannot preserve it, no matter how hard I try. I am caught in an inner conflict. There is so much that can be done with this kaleidoscope. Should I take it apart, or ask Gloria how it works, or keep enjoying the patterns it shows me? But I still have lessons to do today. It's hard to refuse the kaleidoscope, to not take a day off. I won't take it apart, it's not mine to do that with. I could keep looking through it, or I could return to my studies. I think perhaps we put the kaleidoscope away for a while and study a while. I must understand this world if I'm to change it, if I'm to make my way as the twins seem to wish me to. I put the kaleidoscope away and returned to studying the book. There is so much I have to discuss with Gloria. I cannot help but wonder, what things did she see there? First, my lessons. When Father walks in, he sees me hard at work over the book. He chuckles in approval, then spots the kaleidoscope on the table next to me. He puts the toy to his eye, then freezes still for a moment. It takes him an effort to put it back down. Then he praises you for being diligent and leaves. When today's section of the books is finished, I take the toy upstairs to my sister's room and tell her what I saw in it. Gloria smiles, knowing how I felt. I once saw a ballroom full of dancers, she says. I watched it for an entire hour. My hands even got sore. I spend a long time with my sister discussing the kaleidoscopic figures, and I feel a strong connection to her. The toy has brought us closer together and made us interconnected, just like the lines and figures in its colourful eye. My determination increases to resolute, my willpower decreases. Father's sword. This event is a consequence of my previous actions. Conditions my determination greater than equal to 4. When Father is not working long hours, I often see him spending long stretches of time in the backyard practicing his fencing. I am allowed to watch, but that is it. I am forbidden from touching the sword, let alone actually learning how to fight with it. It's a new day today, and Father has been busy in his study since early morning. Mother took Gloria and Nathan to the shops. My studies are done for today. The house is empty. I spot my father's sword hanging by the yard door. He must have left it there by accident after the training session. I deliberate at first, then grab the sword with resolve and run outside. At least I have the chance to see it up close. It is a small sword, used for dueling, heavy and devoid of any ornamentation. I recall that it was made specifically for him. The weapon is difficult to handle, it makes the palm of my hand shake. As I get used to it, I try my best to imitate Father's feats. My technique leaves much to be desired, but at least it's something. I imagine myself fighting for the family's honour, as a thin blade slices through the air. But I swing too far back, the blade nicks my shoulder and cuts through the shirt, staining the fabric crimson. The sword falls to the ground with a dull clang. I try to apply pressure to the wound to make it stop bleeding, but all I do is make the blood flow faster. Yorkie, what are you doing here? Asked Father. The familiar voice hurts me more than the cut of the sword. Father walks up to me briskly. His rugged arms rip off a length of cloth and bandage my shoulder. He squats by my side and pulls me into an awkward embrace. My son, why did you have to take the sword? You know you're not supposed to hold it. This is no toy, it's a weapon that can take lives. I know how you feel. I used to yearn for my father's dueling sword back when I was a lad. One day, you might have a chance to earn the right to carry a weapon, but first you must have patience and study and become a noble. When that day comes, I will be proud to teach you myself. I rarely spend time with Father without someone else around. There is paternal love in his voice, so much that even the cut on my shoulder barely hurts now. I'll be glad to be convinced by what he says. But how can I forget my dream? How can I abandon it just to earn Father's approval? Is it right for him to ask so much of you? Father, I would that you teach me the basics. There is much that I must accomplish in life. I must all my courage and beg Father to teach me how to hold the sword. Father's inquisitive look presses me for an answer. It takes me a long time to muster enough courage to speak. I begin to teach me how to fight, at least the very basics. It will certainly come in handy in my future. will be my first step towards becoming a nobleman. Now it takes father a long time to respond. He is about to speak, and I expect a refusal, but he says nothing. He draws a sharp breath again, but remains quiet. Then finally he offers me the sword. But remember this, Yorkie, he says. You are not a warrior, not yet. You will study this like you study your lessons. Indeed. With that I agree, father. He teaches me the first lesson right away. You learn to dodge attacks. There are several times when the tip of the blade cuts the air dangerously close to my nose. It is scary and difficult, but I manage it. From that day forth, father teaches me the foundation of sword fighting in great secret. I use my passion for tree climbing to explain the cuts I received during training. Soon I learn how to hold my own in a duel. But will I ever need this art in real life? Quite possibly. We are now resolute on determination. But our willpower is drained. We are exhausted. Fencing lesson event has happened. I dared to study fencing like my father, even though I have no right to it by birth. It is good that father can be swayed away from the lot, as it were. Sweet temptation. Grandfather's visits are no longer a cause for fear and panic in the house. It has become something I am used to, something nagging yet not unordinary, like a splinter or a stain on my trousers. The tension still remains, however. Sir Gregor's disdain for everyone in the house is so palpable, it almost stings for real. My lessons with the tutor are done for today. I am walking down the stairs when I spot Gloria peeping into the sitting room through a slightly open door. I sneak up on my sister and tap her lightly on the shoulder. She is startled. "Oh, it's you, Yorkie," she says. "Look, Sir Gregor's eating something." Grandfather is sitting on the sofa, flipping through a book with one hand and reaching for a glass bowl with another now and then. Inside the bowl, I see candied fruit, a sweet confectionery forbidden to the common estate. Like all sweet things, yet grandfather's face shows no pleasure as he keeps consuming the high-born treats. Clock strikes 3. Grandfather rises from his seat and puts away the bowl on a shelf and leaves for the yard. He always takes a walk in the city at this time. Gloria nudges me with her elbow and looks at the candy bowl when I look at her. And the first emotion I feel is fear. Next comes curiosity, and it's stronger. Stephen used to boast that candied fruit tastes incredible, and now I have a perfect opportunity to try it. I try a candied fruit first. The sugar starts to melt as soon as I put it on my tongue. It's so sweet. I have never tasted anything as good as this. I take the whole bowl off the shelf and give it to my sister. She takes the fruit and brings it to her mouth, carefully, like a rare treasure. There is a thumping on the stairs, footsteps accompanied by the knocking of a walking stick. I have no idea why, but grandfather is back. I quickly hide behind the sofa and pull Gloria after me, but she is frozen in place with the bowl in her hands. The door opens, grandfather's menacing figure advances on Gloria and seizes her arm. "You squalid, ungrateful, low-born child," he yells. "How dare you bite the hand that feeds you? You and your trollop of a mother would be sleeping in a ditch if it weren't for my spineless son. The sweet and pleasant things in life are for the noble estate, not the likes of you. Did you forget your lot?" His hand swings and hits Gloria on the cheek. She falls to the floor right next to where I'm hidden. Her fingers glisten with the warm, melted sugar that brought us here. Grandfather advances again, his walking stick ready, but then he notices you huddling behind the armchair. "Please don't hurt him," she says. "The Brante. This is all my fault. He tried to stop me." You can already see a bruise on Gloria's cheek. This is only the beginning of her punishment. Gloria was caught red-handed, unlike me. I can still avoid my punishment. "What is it then, milksop?" demands Greg. "Oh, my grandfather. Did you try the sugar too, or were you trying to stop this piece of filth like she says?" And I am locked into one thing. I do not have the right relationship with Gloria for that. My willpower is too low for that. Unfortunately, I do not have the strength to stand up for her. I feel guilt gnawing at me, and I feel like I'm committing a vile crime, but I lie. I stand up and start talking. Yes, Gloria was telling the truth. I was trying to stop her. Grandfather tilts his head as he keeps me transfixed by his inhospitably bitter gaze. Then why did you hide behind the armchair like a petty thief? It was all Gloria, I tell him. She told me to hide. Gloria looks at you with pain and disappointment when you say this. Grandfather nods, satisfied by my answer. He tells me to stay and watch him punish Gloria. The first time in your life you see somebody else being punished. Her skin split apart by Grandfather's walking stick, her clothes getting soaked in blood as she writhes in agony. Night comes, but Gloria's sobbing keeps me awake. I go to her bedroom and try to calm her down, but a muffled go away is her only reaction. She lied to Grandfather for me, so why is she angry with me now? I know, I am angry with me. I should have stood up, but I was too tired. I could not face him. I am sorry, my sister. Mother takes Gloria to church next morning. They return late in the afternoon and Gloria begs Father on her knees for forgiveness. She'll never ever take what she does not deserve by birth, she pleads. She does not look at me, not even once, and our relationship drops to zero in difference. My willpower returns to zero, though. The sacrament. Father and Mother have been focused on Nathan and me since early morning. Instead of breakfast, I am told to say my prayers, wash our hands and faces. We are told, and get dressed in plain white shirts. Today's the day of our sacrament. Mother, I want to go play in the yard, says Nathan. No playing today. You and Yorkie are big boys now, says Lydia. It's time for you both to have your first sacrament. No one can live without a lot. I don't want a lot, says Nathan. Be quiet and listen, says Father. You are born commoners, so you must accept a low-born lot before the twins. When you grow up, you will get a chance to earn a noble lot. Father and Mother take us to the carriage. Nathan is hungry. He starts whining. Grandfather is the last to get in the carriage. His eyes are on me and my brother, looking for every fault. Soon the carriage is moving along the streets of Anizot. Slowly and solemnly. One more turn, and I see the colossal white building marked by two massive pillars. For the first time in my life, I am to enter the Church of the Twin Gods. I enter the gates and walk under the splendorous dome of the church. The church hall is divided into two halves. They are drastically different from one another. The floor on one side is rough and jagged and covered in dried brown spots, while the floor on the other is made of smooth marble. The commoners kneel on the jagged floor, and the well-dressed nobles and their families sit on the pews. Father and Grandfather leave me to sit on one of the noble pews. Mother walks to the rough stone of the commoner's side and gets down on her knees. I see her wince from pain, for the low-born estate shall suffer in the house of the faith. The church acolytes surround me and lead me to the altar, where I and other children will take our sacrament this day. Before us stands a tall priest dressed in black, with a sword in one hand and a hefty whip in the other. Nathan's whining grows louder. He dislikes his place. He is scared. I remain quiet. My stomach roils in uneasy anticipation. The first child to take the sacrament is a jaunty little boy from a family of nobles. The priest extends the sword before him and recites the words of his lot. From this day forth he will fight and rule and pursue the arts, his mind now forever free from the throes of suffering, for he now belongs to the noble lot. The boy proudly touches the flat of the blade with his lips. Nathan is next to receive the sacrament. He suddenly snaps out of his fearful trance and tries to break free, but the acolyte pulls him towards the altar and throws him onto the jagged floor of the low-born side. Sharp edges bite into Nathan's knees as he lands, spraying drops of red around him. I don't wanna... Yorkie, why do they do this? Why do they want to whip me? He demands. What did I do? I tried to break free and run to Nathan's side. I want to give him courage and protect him, but the acolyte's grip on me is too firm. I feel utterly helpless. My little brother has to face the world all by himself. The priest starts reciting the words of the lot as he swings the lash over Nathan's shoulders. From this day forth, Nathan, you shall endure and work and suffer. Thou shalt be ardent in thy labour and humble in obedience to thy rulers. And now cometh thy first true suffering. Thou must accept with gratitude. The lash cracks. He strikes his right shoulder. He strikes his left shoulder. The blows are so powerful that Nathan falls to the floor. The priest tells him to rise. He has received his lot. Nathan gets to his feet and drags himself towards Mother, his knees torn and bloodied, his spirit broken. It is my turn. My feet will not move. I can barely muster enough strength to walk to the altar. I get down on my knees and feel the sharp stones below. So sharp, my clothing cannot protect me. My skin begins to burn. The acolyte forces my head down and I feel the lash being drawn above me, ready to strike. Priest's words, and for me now, this is thy sacrament, thou shalt work and endure and suffer. Thou art about to receive thy first true suffering by sacred lash. Thou accept thy lot? I could accept it, humbly. Allow Nathan to see that I am willing to take this too. I could raise my head defiantly and stand up. I could catch the lash before it strikes my shoulders. I could kiss the sword. I do not wish to kiss the sword right now. I'm actually not that fond of any lot. The lots are something man-made, not of the twins. Of this I'm certain now. But I will not be humble. I will stand and take my punishment. I will show Nathan that I can accept the punishment, but I will stand. I will not bow before you. The priest readies the lash, but before he can strike, I raise my head and stand up. There are cries of indignation among the churchgoers. The whip cracks, it strikes me on the right shoulder, but I keep my head up. It strikes again, this time on my left shoulder, but I remain standing. No one intervenes, even the priest is confused by this turn of events. He grits his teeth as he orders you to depart. I am to remain humble and obedient from this day forth, but I now belong to the common estate. I walk away from the altar, swaying. I see things with surprising clarity now. I can barely feel the pain even as blood runs down my back. A timid hand touches mine, it is Nathan. His tearful face a mixture of confusion and awe. Mother takes my hand and leads me out of the church. Once I am outside, she scolds me for being insubordinate. Grandfather is the last to leave his church. His face is covered in red, angry blotches. There is a quiet fury in his voice as he says something to Father, who remains quiet and miserable as we walk to the carriage. I defied a powerful will that day. There is fear inside me. I fear that this will might one day destroy me, but my willpower has increased too. Sacrament 1125. I have taken my first lot and received the commoner's lot. Third sacrament time. Year 1125, childhood's end. The mark left on me by the sacrament takes a long, long time to heal. Mother says it is a reminder of my lot, suffering and sufferance, pain and patience. Gloria shows me the mark of the lash on her shoulder one day. It will never disappear. I am a commoner now, this is the lot I was born into. But Father keeps telling me to study hard so I may yet receive a different lot. and become a noble of the mantle. I recall the past with warm sadness, when Stefan still lived with us, or when he wrote to us for a time shortly after he left. Now he thinks it beneath him to write to the commoners in his family. Mother didn't lock herself in a bedroom as often back then. This changed shortly before Nathan was born. But most importantly, I missed the time before the terrifying figure of my grandfather was constantly looming over me. I learned the true power of the lot only after the head of the family's arrival. In grandfather's eyes, no commoner deserved to be treated with kindness. Is it just him, or is it the way of the entire world? The very thought makes me queasy and angry. This is not the will of the twins. They knew I was born commoner, and look at how they came to me. Held their hand to me, welcomed me. No, this is not the will of the twins. I am older now, and what's more, I am an elder brother now. I learned how to care about someone else, how to teach and protect. Soon, I am a small boy no longer. As the days pass, play gradually gives way to laborious study. Now, my choices will decide my place in the bizarre and ruthless world of adulthood. My childhood years are over. End of Chapter 1, Childhood. Let us have a look at the different situations here before we end. Personal life. Right, that's just the events. Did not get insight. We did not get nobleman's sacrament. We got beyond for the first dead, and we got the fencing lesson. Noki Brante, age 7. My perception is 4, my determination 5, my willpower 5. Well-born occupation growing up. Deaths 1 of the 4. Fourth one being the major one. House of Brante, reputation merely 2. Wealth 5, moderate means. Unity 7, at peace with each other. Stefan Brante is the heir. Family has not changed. And that is what we have. We have looked at these. Continue. And so we pass to adolescence.
I was growing up fast. The school, the streets, and the whole wide world awaited me beyond the gate of my parents' house.
And with that, we will end for today. Very well. May be blessed and enjoy their coffee.